over Philadelphia developers are building from 400,000 to $1 million homes that our people can't afford.
To have two women run a church the size and magnitude of Mount Tabor was, even I understood, like the impressiveness of that.
I think we were skeptical about it because it was a complex development project, affordable housing and affordable senior housing and getting the financing for that. And because they did not have a track record for having done a development like that before, we knew it was an uphill battle and it was going to be a difficult thing to pull off.
Reverend Moore and Reverend Lang, aside from being incredibly high energy people, they weren't just inspiring a design team, they're inspiring a whole community and a congregation, and they were doing that daily.
They really wanted to develop senior housing. They wanted to develop it next to the church. They wanted to serve people in their community, and they wanted to have it be a smart building so that their population could understand technology. So they were the driving force. They really, both of them were the absolute, no questions, driving force behind this development.
We named the project The Miracle on 7th Street because of all of the hurdles that we had to overcome to make the project happen.
Well, I wasn't allowed to think that it couldn't be done because Reverend Lang consistently said, no, it's going to happen, you know. Just a matter of when we're going to cut the ribbon. So you quickly adopted that attitude.
The Reverends involved us when they got to the point, after many years of trying to acquire the property. Their last obstacle or hurdle that they had to go over was to present a site plan for the development to City Council. And they did not have funding to hire those services to get the site plan drawn for them. So they came to the collaborative for a design grant. We provided a design grant to them in 2 stages. The first was to create the site plan that they presented to City Council. And then once the site acquisition was approved, we then provided the second stage of the design grant, which was the conceptual design for the full facility.
On the very day that Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency was reviewing projects and considering them for tax credit grants, the Reverends mounted a 24-hour prayer vigil.
People were praying around the clock for God to move on the hearts of the people who had to make the decisions to allow us to go ahead with the building.
And 24 hours later, we had our funding. We had a couple ideas that started out as sort of core inspiration for how to organize the building. One was to encourage the building of a sense of community among the residents. So we took that middle section and broke it apart, at least conceptually. We called it the knuckle, and we wanted to provide some daylight there, some glazing, and essentially a small village center on each floor, and then to amplify that on the first floor by bringing all the common elements, the community room, the cyber training room, and some other amenities together at that center knuckle. So that became one of our organizing thoughts. The other was to think about how the building itself could be an expression of use of computers. So what you'll see on the facade of the building is these bays that project just a slight bit, and that sort of represents a pixelated image of the facade of the building. It was fortuitous that the water department had put in new regulations just about the time we were designing this building, and that enabled us to satisfy stormwater requirements by installing a green roof on the entire roof of the building.
I've been doing this work for a while. I've never had any other client do a 10-year anniversary for a project, so it shows how special it is to them and how much of an impact it's had on that community and on the residents who live there in particular.
I just want to say I enjoy this building. I'm happy here, and I'm glad that I was lucky enough to get in here and be a part of it.
I think that when you talk about, developments in the city of Philadelphia, creating and keeping affordability, make sure that it blends in with the local community, you look at that as a template for how we need to get things done.